So we had a team here. It was quite well attended in terms of media personnel. We had some students here as well, and some CSOs as well that gave feedback over the past 3 days. Hello?
Yes.
I hope I'm...
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
I hope I'm audible. Yeah, so I'm joined here by the CATS board chair. Obviously, CATS were the ones who were organizing on the ground in terms of bringing the partners together. So we had this workshop. We had joined initially with the Aphrodite team for the first day. And the day in between, we had some training here for the media personnel on various topics to do with debt management in Zambia. We analyzed the legal framework guiding debt in Zambia with the Loans and Guarantees Act, which is currently under review here in Zambia by the Ministry of Finance. Additionally, we looked at IMF engagements. We looked at different debt solutions, be it cancellation or restructuring. In Zambia, the debt is quite unique in the sense that a majority of it is commercial debt, mostly through the Eurobond holders. So obviously, cancellation is not an option when it comes to our debt situation in Zambia. So we're trying to educate the media and also the other people, the other stakeholders present at the meeting here in Zambia on these issues. We also looked at different sources of data that they can use
Zambia. Uchizi? Could have lost the Zambia. That's fine. So as we sort out Zambia, all right, so as we sort out Zambia, Senegal, Abdou Dio, I'm not sure I know how to read this name. As we sort out Zambia, you could go to Senegal. Abdou. Hello, Abdou. Abdou, vous nous entendez?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Is this Abdou? Or his friend? Yes, you can hear. I'm not too sure how. Please proceed. Okay, and back. Yes, Uchizi, Zambia is back. Uchuzi, you may proceed.
Okay, sorry for that connectivity issue.
That's fine.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we had a SWOT analysis done, looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and also the threats for Zambia's media in light of the current debt situation. And I was just mentioning that we're having an election this year in the next few months. It's happening in August of this year. So in the run-up to this, there were a number of strengths. I was talking about the traditional media being harnessed, as well as the new media, social media, things like WhatsApp, various platforms that we can still harness in this year. Obviously, another strength for the media is that it was recognized that they have the ability to bring about legal justice when it comes to how debt is contracted, bring about change in perceptions of people, especially in the run-up to the election. The media has also the strength to continue a story. I was just talking about these new media methods, such as social media. Things like hashtags have the ability to have stories such as debt be a continual conversation. So here in Zambia, we have the CSO Debt Alliance, which is basically a loose coalition of CSOs and also academia and some media personnel as well. And we ran things like hashtags on Twitter and Facebook. We had a hashtag on Twitter called Debt Concerns Me, which was actually trending here in Zambia on Twitter, which was quite encouraging. So the media has that ability as well. Then looking at the weaknesses, there was cited that from the conference we had here in Zambia, that there's a lack of capacity in various areas, not just in terms of skill set, but also in human resource. There aren't that many people in the journalism profession, mostly because it's not that attractive in terms of finances. So that was another weakness we found. The low-paying jobs that are found in journalism are quite demotivating for these people here in Zambia, and something that leaves them open to and leaves them a bit vulnerable when it comes to what stories to attend and how they're influenced by outside pressure. It's quite easy to get influenced by people who have money. They will chase stories where they know they can make more money compared to some where they know that it might not be the case. And that leads me to another issue that we found in Zambia in terms of weaknesses, which is editorial policies. In Zambia, obviously, the media houses are owned by both the public, the private sector, who have their own publishing policies when it comes to what stories can run and what can't. So this was highlighted as another weakness in our system, which is also kind of linked to the next weakness, which is advertising systems. For media to run a story, sometimes they are influenced by advertisers. Sometimes they have these big clients who they can't really speak ill of because they are getting a lot of revenue from the advertising system that they have. So we're calling it sponsor capture in Zambia. I don't know if it's a generic term in terms of media, but it was an issue that was raised as well in terms of them having to align with the views of the sponsors that they get on their TV and radio platforms. There's also a lack of deliberate policies for staff development in media houses. They're quite stagnant in terms of skill development, in terms of postgraduate studies, for instance. They lack the capacity and they're not really supported by the media houses in that regard. And then looking at the opportunities, a number of them also arose from this meeting. The platform itself, the platform as media, be it internet, be it radio, TV, they recognize this as an opportunity in itself to raise awareness about issues such as debt. bringing it back to my point of the media has the power to persuade the masses on various topics and also to raise awareness. The media also has an ability to develop trends on social media, like I mentioned. Better access to data in comparison to the average Zambian citizen is another opportunity. We had shared a lot in terms of statistics, in terms of where to find data. So this has given them a level up in terms of opportunities for media in Zambia and also to engage. And then another opportunity was working more with the CSO Data Alliance here in Zambia, which CATS is a secretariat. It's chaired by JCTR here in Zambia, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection. And then there's an NGOCC, which is a women and gender group who are the vice chair for the Data Alliance here in Zambia. So we're trying to see how we can work with the media in Zambia to ensure that debt becomes a story that reaches all corners of Zambia, and not only Zambia, also with the continent and the world at large. Give it that we have the partnerships here on the continent. Obviously, this engagement with Afrodad is a great opportunity for us as Zambia, the Data Alliance in Zambia, to link and learn from these other institutions. And then looking at the threats, I'll just close with the threats before I hand over to Mr. Sajiv Nair, who's a board member for CATS here. The main threat, I'm sure some of you might be aware that Zambia recently enacted the Cyber Security Act of 2020. And the media, the personnel that were here at this conference found this as a major threat, as it infringes on the main principles of journalism when it comes to revealing confidential sources, for instance, and also when it comes to freedom of speech, which has been an issue for them. And this Cyber Security Act is only going to make things worse in their view. And then another threat is a lack of access to credible information. There's quite a lot of speculation about Zambia, the actual figures of Zambia's debt. It's been quite unclear, even for us at this stage, when it comes to the actual figures of how much Zambia owes in terms of debt, and also in terms of the terms and conditions linked to this debt. It's been quite an opaque picture here. And this also leads to inaccuracies in reporting and inaccuracies in how we disseminate information. And then there's also the risk of political affiliation. I think I mentioned that 2021 is an election year for Zambia. So when you bring up issues such as debt, automatically, sometimes you can be viewed as opposition. And that's a risk that it's a threat to the media houses that they don't want. Obviously, they want to protect their reputations as they report on these issues. And the elections was also highlighted as another major threat for media houses, because it comes with various actions such as retractions, shutting down of media houses. And there was an example of the Post newspaper here in Zambia that was shut down a few years ago with regard to certain issues that I've mentioned already. And then the journalists, if journalists are unable to spread debt messages, these issues will remain hidden and will ultimately affect the development of the nation. So the development of the nation at large was another major threat that came up in terms of what threatens the media here in Zambia. And then COVID-19 restrictions have also limited the movement and ultimately the coverage of media houses. So that's just a snapshot of the threats, the SWOT analysis that we did here in Zambia. There was another point when it comes to the way forward for us as Zambia, and also us as we work at continental level. I'll let Sajiv speak to the way forward. I'll just hand him my device, and then he'll speak using the same platform before we cross over to Fidelity.
Thank you, Chisi. Chisi has covered quite a bit of what happened for the last 3 days. In terms of going the way forward, the key issue would be that capacity building of the media association of media professionals. At present, we have the MISA, the Media Institute of Southern Africa, which is the umbrella body of the media professionals. But there is a feeling that the organization doesn't have that much capacity to do things so that the professionals will be protected when they have specific issues, when they report something which is negative to the government, which is not favorable to government, they all face harassment, and the institute is not able to do well to protect them. That is one. The second aspect is that in terms of the print media, it is the government media houses they control, and you find that debt is not a key issue, key message. It is published in the public media, like the Daily Mail or Times of Zambia, but this is coming only in the private media houses. So we need to change that one and see how this message can be spread across all the media houses in Zambia. That is the even after all this effort which you are making, the debt is not a key issue at the election so far. There are other things. So we need to see that how debt is being brought to the fore as a key message for the election, and that will have accountability. The key point which you want to highlight is part of the public finance management, and also, as UGC mentioned, about the laws and regulations that provides leeway for government to contract public debt. Those are not yet to be amended, and those aspects we need to do more advocacy, much more advocacy than in the coming days. Overall, we are very happy. Even the participants, the feedback which we got from participants is quite good. They have learned a lot, but we can also do much better in terms of giving them evidence, more evidences from the continent about the debt, how different countries are handling the debt situation. I think that is important for Zambia, how it is being managed by other countries. Of course, our debt levels are pretty huge, but then we can learn from other countries on how to lobby with the multilateral institutions, and also how to negotiate with the private lenders on they are charging commercial rates, and this COVID situation, country cannot afford to pay that huge interest, which is almost taking about 70% of our national the budget income. So we need to do much more.